Shimano Dura-Ace versus SRAM Red is a battle of the titans. It's a group set head-to-head that's been going on for over 15 years. The latest generations share a lot of similarities, but which one comes out on top in this long-running saga? Let's find out. Let's start with shifting performance, and Dura-Ace Di2 has been the king here for some time now. The smooth glide of the chain across the cassette combined with the fast, forceful shove of the front derailleur is always impressive. SRAM's new front derailleur now feels like it has the same urgency as Shimano. The new narrower cage pushes the chain sooner, and it feels just as quick to move the chain in either direction. At the rear, Shimano's quiet and fast action is at its very best on Dura-Ace. Red AXS gets close when the chain is moving down the cassette, but Shimano still sets the standard. Going the other way, the Red AXS shift speed is impressive. You can feel a little more feedback as the chain settles on each of the cassette sprockets, but there's very little to choose between them. The new shifters on Red AXS also have a bonus button, like Dura-Ace's hidden hood top buttons, which you can allocate to shift duties. Red AXS uses a 10-tooth smaller sprocket, and this gives slightly rougher sensation through the pedals than Shimano's smallest 11-tooth sprocket, but it's a lot closer than ever before. SRAM says it aimed to tackle this by adopting a larger lower pulley on the rear derailleur, which in turn makes for a smoother path for the chain, and it certainly feels smoother. As good as SRAM Red AXS shifting has become though, Dura-Ace Di2 still has the slight edge overall. So our round one winner, Shimano Dura-Ace Di2. Both Dura-Ace Di2 and SRAM Red AXS are aimed at elite riders. That said, there's plenty of customers out there that don't want to be saddled with tall gears and tight ratios. So who has the wider options when it comes to gearing? Shimano's Dura-Ace cranksets are available in 50-34, 52-36 and 54-40 tooth versions. And there's a dual-sided power meter option too. Now, that's not a huge variety, but because they have stuck to a 4-bolt 110 bolt circle diameter standard, that means there's plenty of scope to customize using aftermarket chain rings. The crank arms are available in 160mm to 177.5mm crank lengths in 2.5mm increments. The Dura-Ace 12-speed cassette SRAM comes in two versions, an 1130 and an 1134 tooth. Now, that's somewhat limited. SRAM's options on the Red AXS are far wider, with 6 2x options, 50-37, 48-35 and 46-33 that come as original equipment on complete bikes as well as aftermarket. Plus there are 3 more options aftermarket with a larger 52-39, 54-41 and 56-43 versions which will appeal to the pros. Unlike Dura-Ace Di2, Red AXS can also be had in a 1x specification with the single chainring options from 42 to 50 tooth in 2-tooth increments. All are available with integrated spider-based power meters with crank lengths from 160mm to 175mm in 2.5mm increments. Shimano go one size larger with a 177.5. Now it's worth remembering that SRAM's chainring design is integrated, with the chainrings machined from one piece. Replacing one requires both to be switched out. If you have a power meter version, this too must be replaced, though SRAM do have a discounted exchange/recycle program. At the back, Red AXS cassettes are available in 1028, 1030, 1033 and 1036 options, twice as many as Dura-Ace. Though SRAM has a broader range of options, some may still want the slight improvement of mechanical efficiency of an 11-tooth sprocket offered by the Japanese brand. Both systems support the use of satellite shifters. Shimano's are wired plug-in units that run off the shifter batteries, whereas SRAM uses a wireless blip with a claimed 10-year battery life. Red AXS can accommodate up to 6 in one setup compared to Shimano's 2, which begs the question, how many is too many, even for time trialists? Although many would opt for a full group set when upgrading, I like that SRAM Red AXS is also backwards compatible with all previous 12-speed AXS group sets, regardless of level. This opens up cheaper paths to upgrading. A component at a time is fine, rather than just having to go the whole hog. In all, while the integrated nature of the Red AXS cranksets and small 10-tooth sprocket might put some riders off, the wide range of options gives SRAM Red AXS the win in round 2. Shimano's servo wave tech, brought in on the current generation of Dura-Ace, gave it the upper hand over SRAM's previous Red eTap axis. The ergonomic shape of the Dura-Ace lever, combined with the non-linear relationship between lever and caliper travel, meant that less force, such as braking from the hoods, is needed to apply the brakes. In practice, this results in the ability to scrub speed more efficiently, while the feeling through the lever is excellent. It was the gold standard of braking. The spacing on the calipers is also greater than before, which all but eliminates irritating rotor scrape in the wet. The latest generation RTCL900 rotors are also stiffer, further improving performance. It's here where SRAM Red eTap axis noticeably lagged behind Dura-Ace Di2 R9200. While you had all the power you'd ever need, the modulation and all-important feel through the lever felt just less refined. It felt just a bit more on-off. For the new Red axis though, it's a very different story. The brake lever design is hugely different, with a horizontal piston arrangement that has enabled SRAM to repackage the innards and raise the pivot of the lever much higher. The hoods are slimmed down to Dura-Ace size, and there's a shaped depression in the top third of the lever designed to offer a spot for fingertips to rest on when riding on the hoods. The lever has also been reprofiled, now gently kinking outwards, which helps make it easier to grasp from the drops. SRAM claims the effort to actuate the lever is 33% reduced in the drops, but 80% less effort from the hoods. It's fair to say the old Red eTap access design, mainly due to the low pivot point, took more effort for less movement from the hoods, but that's all changed here. Single finger braking from the hoods is possible with all the power and feel on tap. At the caliper end, the machine two-piece body has been redesigned to centralise the pressure of the pads on the rotor's braking surface. In use, Red axis braking feels just as good as Dura-Ace Di2, exhibiting a similar slickness to the braking from the drops. From the hoods, in my hands, I think the Red axis ergonomics might have the beating of its rival. Although ergonomics aren't a one-size-fits-all, of course, you may simply prefer the Dura-Ace shape. Like Dura-Ace, it takes very little effort to induce accurate braking and subtle speed reductions, and the feeling through the lever is a match. The Red axis brakes offer 4-point contact adjustment, whereby the calipers can be adjusted to engage the pads earlier or later. Reach adjustment, that's how far the lever rests away from the bars, is also adjustable. Dura-Ace, meanwhile, offers both reach adjustment and free stroke adjustment. That's similar to contact point adjustment, though rather than moving the pad, this adjusts how much the lever moves before the brake calipers move. In reality, both now have plenty of scope for adjustment to suit almost all hand shapes and sizes and your preference on braking feel. Brake squealing, which you did get on occasion with the old Red eTap axis brakes when wet, hasn't been heard so far on my test rides, and Dura-Ace is also quiet with 9200 too. Round 3, it's a draw. Both Dura-Ace Di2 and Red axis are easy to install and set up, especially compared to mechanical groups. Thanks to its semi-wireless design, Shimano's now only wiring is between the derailleurs to a central battery. Internally routing the wires can be tricky, as is getting the correct wire lengths, which are available in lengths between 150mm and 1600mm. The coin cell powered levers then pair wirelessly to the rear derailleur where the brains of the system are. Red axis is simply bolting both derailleurs in place, charging and clipping on the external batteries, and then pairing them to the shifters. In the past, Red axis's front derailleur setup was tricky to get spot on, but this now is a cinch thanks to an all-new setup guide tool. The Shimano derailleurs, powered by one hidden battery, are sleeker than SRAM's modular battery design, but I think this is cancelled out by the convenience of being able to easily switch batteries. It's hard to directly compare battery life. Shimano's battery is said to last around 1,000 kilometers, while SRAM says its battery has enough juice for 60 hours of riding. In reality, neither are a problem. Recharging is just something we all do regularly, and always in prep for a big ride. Overall, it's fair to say that neither Groupset should offer any challenges to a seasoned home mechanic, but the fully wireless access is the simplest of the two. Our winner of round 4, SRAM Red AXS. There's an app for everything these days, and these two Groupsets are no exception. Shimano's eTap app is much improved with a much better user interface. With Bluetooth built into the Dura-Ace's rear derailleur, it's easy to access the system and make changes through the app. SRAM's Axis app, however, still rules the roost here. I think the user interface is cleaner, and alongside all of the maintenance and setup functionality, you can create multiple bike profiles should you have more than one access-driven bike. The app also records a depth of information. If you're a fan of data, then there's plenty to get lost in, including GPS, ride metrics, shifting, time spent in each gear, plus it'll add power and heart rate data to the mix too. With the Hammerhead Karoo computer, which is now bundled with the Red AXS Groupsets, you get everything in one smart ecosystem. Our winner of round 5, SRAM Red AXS. A Groupset's weight will, of course, depend on the spec of your group. That said, Both are impressively lightweight, as you'd expect of a professional level group set. A Dura-Ace Di2 group set with a 5236 power meter equipped crankset and 1134 cassette weighed in at a total of 2,579 grams. Our SRAM Red AXS group set weighs in lighter at 2,548 grams, accounting for the 4633 power meter equipped crankset and a 1033 cassette. On paper, SRAM wins this one by 31 grams, which is about the same weight as a slice of bread. I just can't think of an occasion where that's going to be the deciding factor. So for round 6, technically it's a SRAM Red AXS win, but I'd say a draw is a fairer result. Now, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and whilst Dura-Ace has a clean aesthetic with its glossy black finish across all of its components, I do think it's, well, a bit boring. I just think that a flagship group set should stand out and look premium, like it deserves to be on a superbike. Dura-Ace 7900 got it right with its gunmetal grey and polished finish. Now that was a stunning setup. The glossy finish on the new chain set can be dulled by a rub of a shoe, especially winter overshoes or boots, and I've found some of the sharper edges on the rear derailleur body can be prone to chipping and scuffing too. In contrast, Red AXS has quite a bit of bling about it. The crankset's polished silver accents and carbon arms are a clear statement, and everything has been sharpened a little this time out. The chrome logos are more subtle, and I think they unify well with the machined outer chainring. The chrome-like finish of the chain is sharp, as is the contrast on the cassette, and you can have a rainbow oil slick finish on both if you want to up the bling factor. The one anomaly is the matte textured front derailleur, which looks a little at odds with the sharp looks elsewhere. Some of you may prefer the smaller derailleurs of Dura-Ace over the slightly bigger ones of SRAM Red. If that's a deal breaker for you, then Shimano will likely win the argument here. However, the Red AXS group set shouts premium, and you definitely won't miss it. After all, who wants a premium group set that you couldn't pick out in a crowd? Now, I know this is hugely subjective, so let me know what you think in the comments. Our round 7 winner, SRAM Red AXS. Our final round is pricing, and the winner here depends where in the world you live. When comparing UK prices, Shimano claims victory, though the reverse is true for US-based riders. Our complete Dura-Ace group set is priced at £4,243.89 or $5,045.87, whereas our Red AXS setup comes to £4,590 or $4,590. Things are also slightly skewed by the fact that SRAM's price includes the latest Hammerhead Karoo bike computer. That would set you back £449.99 or $474.99 separately. Now, if you aren't wedded to another bike computer brand, that's a big bonus. Of course, real world prices of group sets vary wildly, so it's worth seeing how much retailers end up selling them for. On complete bikes, Shimano draws ahead. For example, a specialised S-Works Tarmac is £12,000 or $14,000 with Dura-Ace Di2, and that comes with a 4i Precision Pro dual-sided power meter. Whereas the new limited edition S-Works Tarmac Red AXS is £12,500 or $15,000. Now that also includes the power meter crankset and Hammerhead Karoo computer, and a K-Edge cockpit mount for it. Now the standard S-Works Tarmac Red AXS bike previously was priced the same at £12,000 or $14,000. Now, Factor's Ostro VAM with Dura-Ace is $11,149. The same bike with Red AXS and a power meter is $11,499. Willys Volante SLR is €12,500 with Red AXS and power meter included. With Dura-Ace Sans power meter, it's €11,300. Our final round 8 winner is Shimano Dura-Ace Di2 R9200, meaning we have a new champion. It was an incredibly tight battle, and I'm sure you'll let me know where I'm wrong in the comments. But if the price of these two group sets is a little too steep, then see who comes out on top between Ultegra and Force Axis.